did you guys hear what Trump just announced? You know, there's a lot of right-wing Christians out there who think that Trump is out here to be our Messiah. He's going to save the day. He's going to stop the New World Order, and he's got the plan, right? I know you guys know these people, heard of these people. Maybe you're one of these people. Let me tell you, you do not get to that position of President of the United States, the world power, unless you are part of the club. And if you know what I'm talking about, the club is not a club that you're a part of. It's the elites of the world that have a plan, they have an agenda, and whether they are making the moves or they are just pawns in the game, they do not have any power. The president is just the face of this thing, where Satan is pulling the strings. If you believe in the Bible like I do, then you are a conspiracy theorist. I hate to tell you that, but it's just the truth, because we believe that there is an invisible war, a spiritual warfare going on that's going to bring about a one world religious system, a one world government, a one world religion. That is soon to come. I believe it's coming way sooner than we ever thought in the past. And when I look into like esoteric writings and the occult writings, such as Alice Bailey, and she was talking about in her channeled writings predicting that 2025 would be the age of Aquarius and the time when there'd be the externalization of the hierarchy, literally demon spirits manifesting in this world. And then there's an agenda called Project 2025 that says the next Republican leader has the power to be like a dictator, like a religious dictator. Whatever law he wants to put in, it's going to happen, and it's going to be religious in nature, and it's going to bring this nation back to God, because the pendulum has been swinging far left for a couple of years, and that's not a secret. Everybody can see that this world is in utter chaos. It's Babylon, confusion. We don't know if you're male or female. There's no laws to anything. It's completely lawlessness. But for the Antichrist to step on the scene, it has to be chaos, because this is how these people work. It's order out of chaos. This is how Satan works. He causes the problem and then offers the solution. So when there's fires and earthquakes and floods all over the place in places you wouldn't expect, and then there's all this chaos, there has to be a savior. We are on the brink. Even the left is sick of this. Even people like Joe Rogan are saying, Jesus, if you're real, go ahead and come now, because like this world needs help. This is the stage being set perfectly for Satan to come out as Christ. So check out this clip. If you guys haven't seen it, this is Trump giving a speech, and listen to the terminology, listen to the words that he says, because this is prophetic.
We have before us a rare opportunity to bring security and stability and peace to this region and to its people.
Did you hear some choice words there? I heard a phrase, security and peace. Security and peace. I think those are interesting phrases, because when you look in the Bible, in 1 Thessalonians 5:3, it says, for when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. When you read the context of 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so come as a thief in the night. The context of this is Christ is coming soon. In this time, he's giving the context, Christ is coming when all this happens. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So if you're someone who believes in the pre-tribulation rapture, there's a video on our channel. Check it out. It's a response to that. And when you look at any verse about the rapture, it's always the second coming. Notice it says, when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes. It doesn't say a rapture is going to happen and then 7 years later there's going to be destruction. Anytime you see this phrase, a thief in the night, the other one's in 1st or 2nd Peter, and it says the same thing. For the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens and the earth shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. There's no 7 years of tribulation. There's no time period where the Christians are sucked off the earth and then all hell breaks loose for 7 years. It doesn't happen. So I'm only telling you this because the truth will set you free. And we need to know that we're not going to be sucked out of here. But guess what? We will be protected through a lot of things. I'm not saying that we won't be martyred. Even Christ himself was martyred. All his followers were martyred. Jesus himself said, in this life, you will have much tribulation, that you will be delivered up by your friends and your brothers to be killed for my name's sake. That's a promise from Jesus Christ himself. But what I'm saying is, when we are here during the tribulation, the plagues being poured upon the earth, we will not be affected by those plagues, just like the Israelites were not affected by the plagues that were poured upon Egypt, right? The frogs came, the blood was there, the firstborn child would die. The Israelites were not affected by those plagues. They were protected, and we will be protected as well. Not to say that we will not have tribulation. That is a lie. That is false doctrine. So I just think that's interesting that Trump literally said these words, peace and safety. He said security and peace. It's the same thing. And I believe the stage is being set. Check out this news clip.
President Trump's first full day back in office included a major announcement about artificial intelligence that'll bring jobs to Texas. The president stood next to the CEOs of OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank to announce a $500 billion project called Stargate. The project would build new data centers and electricity generation needed to power AI. Texas will serve as a launch point, with the first of the data centers being built in Abilene. The goal for Stargate is to create 100,000 new jobs here in the United States.
The goal is to create 100,000 jobs. Now, AI is really taking away jobs. If you've heard any of these interviews with Elon Musk and stuff, you know, self-driving cars are going to take away jobs from Uber drivers and delivery people. And if you're a screenwriter or a musician or a translator or a narrator, your jobs are gone. Even if you are an artist, a lot of your jobs are being taken away by AI. So AI is actually going to remove jobs. Even cashiers no longer exist anymore. You got 1 or 2 people at Walmart watching 20 cash registers, and you are the employee as you scan all your products. Technology is actually removing jobs, but they're saying that this AI surveillance system called Oracle, which is an interesting name, and it's also called Stargate. Stargate. If you look in the Bible, what is a symbol for angels? The word star is a symbol for angels. So when I hear this term Stargate, I'm thinking biblically, are we making a gate for angels to come through? Because not all angels are good angels. And I think we might just be creating a portal for Satan to enter into our world. Interestingly enough, Elon Musk has a Starlink. So we're linking up with angels and we're creating gates for angels. But maybe I'm looking too deep into that. What I think is interesting is the name of this company is called Oracle, and it's an AI surveillance company. So if this is going to bring 100,000 jobs, what kind of jobs are you going to have? Think about that. We'll get to that. What kind of jobs is this going to offer? I don't think it's going to give you a job on an assembly line or a cash register or whatever. It's going to have to be, you're going to be working with surveillance. So I just think that's crazy. Omnipresent AI cameras will ensure good behavior, says Larry Ellison. He is the guy who is the owner, the CEO, the founder of Oracle, who is bringing out this Stargate AI surveillance. Omnipresent, like this terminology, this is what Satan wants. He wants to be God. He's already the God of this world. The Bible says that. We see all the evil in the world. He's the one that offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the world. He has the power to do that. But omnipresent AI cameras. This is saying that nobody is going to be unseen at any time. Is that ever good? I mean, this is insane. This is dystopian 1984, Brave New World, Logan's Run. Like, this is all those crazy movies about these dystopian worlds are coming true right now. I mean, this is the year 2025. Fortune did an article on him. It says Larry Ellison predicts rise of the modern surveillance state. Interesting. Surveillance state where citizens will be on their best behavior. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. They're saying we need to force people to be good by watching every move they make. There's a part of me and others that, hey, that does sound kind of good. But this is a heart condition. Like, for people to truly have a change, they need to be repentant. They need to know the truth that Christ has come to set them free, that they can be filled with the Holy Spirit, and that they can live as a new creature in Christ. But forcing people to be good through surveillance, you're talking about creating humanoid robots at this point that no longer have free will. They're just obeying because out of fear, complete fear. This is going to be a fear-based system here, which is completely opposite of God. Check out this news clip. This guy, Larry, is going to talk and tell you what he predicts this AI surveillance is going to do for the world.
Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison predicts AI surveillance will be part of our everyday lives in the future. During a recent Oracle Q&A, Ellison said AI will soon play a major role in monitoring society through a vast network of interconnected cameras, including security systems, police body cams, and vehicle dash cams.
Everyone would see it. Your body cams will be transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior, because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
Ellison's vision is for AI to analyze data from this network of cameras in real time in an attempt to prevent crime, while also tracking and influencing public behavior for a safer society. However, the idea raises serious privacy concerns. Critics argue it could lead to a surveillance state with constant monitoring infringing on personal privacy rights, while others say it could help solve crimes faster and provide transparency to citizens in cases of excessive force from law enforcement.
We're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times.
Ellison's proposal highlights a growing trend among tech giants to harness AI for societal influence, which may significantly reshape our lives in the coming years.
This is completely insane. I mean, this is surveillance state, police state. I don't think it's a coincidence that there are massive amounts of drones flying in our skies all over the place. And the military is like, we don't know what they are, but don't worry. It's all good. They're not harmful. Just go on with life. They are unrolling the police state right now, the surveillance state right before our very eyes. And we're all just asleep. We're like, yeah, go for it. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's all good. The media told me it's safe, so I'm going to believe that. If you don't remember, I did a video about the UN saying that they were going to create AI governance. They signed this new law that nobody voted on. I didn't vote on this, where it was talking about AI governance. And there was people in the comments that were saying, I think you're getting this wrong. I think they're talking about they're going to govern AI. But no, this is exactly what I was saying was going to happen, was that AI is going to be governing us. We, the people, are going to be governed by artificial intelligence. Computers. We are no longer the highest on the totem pole anymore. We're not the top of the pyramid. It is now AI playing God, the all-seeing, omnipresent eyes in the sky that are watching every move you make. This is a position that only God should have, but right now, artificial intelligence is getting that position, and they're spending tons amount of money on it. So what is this going to, like, what good could this cause? What bad could this cause? Let's say the good is maybe a woman can walk down the street now without feeling that she might be harmed in some way. That's good. Maybe if there's a wreck, you could see who's at fault. If there's a crime, you could see who's at fault. But this is going to lead to something terrible. This is going to lead to pre-crime, where they're predicting what you do. They're going to be, AI is going to be analyzing everything. Every post you make that is a little bit critical of the government, or maybe you didn't go to church on the day that you were supposed to go to church because now there's a new law about worship. Remember, in Revelation, it says that they worshiped the beast and his image, and if those who did not would be killed. First, they would have their ability to buy and sell cut off. Then they would be thrown in prison 10 days, and finally they would be beheaded. This is prophecy. And so when you have a system like this that's watching every move you make, it can not only help us to solve crimes, but it's also going to help Satan persecute those who do not worship the beast according to his law. If you don't worship in this way, you will be killed. This is the technology that's going to make that possible. Now, China's been doing something for a while called social credit scores. Check this out.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. And Haoyu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it. In fact, most people are.
It's a mechanism like pushes you to become a better citizen.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens. Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and a web of more than 200 million surveillance cameras.
Are people bothered by privacy concerns?
We think the lot of camera keep the safety is really good. We can accept it.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Zhou Aini are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals. But a bad score means public shame and worse. Huang Huijun lost a court case and didn't pay. Now he's on a government blacklist. I can't buy airplane or train tickets, he says, and the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it. Something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it. Janice Mackey-Frere, NBC News, Beijing.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel.
I didn't even
Subscribe
see
by
this.
clicking on that button down
if
here.
you've ever watched
click on any
Terminator,
something
I
that
used to be a huge fan of Terminator. Look at this. Skynet. Oh my goodness. It is not sci-fi anymore. Every sci-fi movie is coming true right now. I cannot believe that. So this video was from like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. Can you imagine if we were living in that right now, where everything you do is scored? Whether you littered, whether you jaywalked, whether you ran a red light, whether you did a good deed like carried a drunk person home. This guy said that he couldn't buy or sell because his credit score was too low. And what affects your credit score? Your good works, your good behavior. That might even sound okay, but who is the judge of what is good and what is wrong? Is it the 10 Commandments? Or is it a totalitarian dictatorship of elites that are saying, this is what makes a good citizen? If you do this, you are good. If you do this, you are bad. If you do not bow to the beast system, think about Nebuchadnezzar. If you don't bow to the image, you're bad and you get thrown into the fire. That was a long time ago. This is going to repeat. History repeats itself. Prophecy is coming true. And if you don't worship in this way, you won't be able to buy or sell. And imagine the pressure that's going to put on you as you begin to starve and as you watch your family starve. This is going to be the biggest deception in human history. This is going to be the biggest test of God's people in human history, because it's going to be on a worldwide scale. This is going to be something that's never been done. The Bible talks about that those who survive through the tribulation, we will be singing a new song that no one else can sing. You know why? Because nobody has been through this experience that we are going to be going through. This is a time of testing like no other. Like, we need to be praying for God to give us the strength, supernatural strength that we've never had. It's time to stop letting creeping compromise come into our lives where we're just giving allowance to this sin or that sin, or, oh, I'll ignore that. This is the time. This is the time to take our relationship serious, guys. We need a relationship with God like never before. So if you don't remember, there was a time when COVID was first happening and they were really serious about everybody wearing masks. I remember this clip being a New York clip. This is another guy. It says in downtown LA, listen to what he says.
We need to make sure that everybody continues to let us know where those folks are. If you've observed recurring violations of the Safer at Home order, please continue to let us know at coronavirus.lacity.org/business violation. You know the old expression about snitches? Well, in this case, snitches get rewards. We want to thank you for turning folks in and making sure we are all safe.
It used to be snitches get stitches, but now it's snitches get rewards. This was starting 4 or 5 years ago when Corona was first rising up, right? I remember New York saying the same thing. He said, snitches get rewards. That lady in China was saying that she's a hired citizen to be a snitch. You're not going to be able to trust your neighbor. This is what Jesus said. He said, brother will turn against brother. Like, you won't be able to trust your family, your friends. And this is why it's so important for us to have a solid relationship with Christ, because there's coming a time when we can't depend on anyone, no one but Christ alone to help us through, to get us through this time of trouble. Your own spouse may turn completely on you and go for the beast system because it seems easier. You cannot let that turn you from keeping what God said, from keeping God's commandments. Revelation says, blessed are those who keep the commandments of God, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter into the gates into the city. 3 times Revelation says, blessed are they that do his commandments. This is what the test is all about. It's about not bowing to a government system of worship, but keeping God's commandments at all costs. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would not even simply bow their bodies before an image. A simple act as that sounds, it's breaking the 2nd commandment. They said, we will not bow to your image. You can throw us in the fire. Do we have that courage? We have to have this kind of courage. We need to be begging God for the courage to be like that. So here's Larry Ellison. I'm showing this because he's the owner of Oracle. I think that's an interesting title for a company, because Oracle means a priest or priestess acting as a medium through whom advice or prophecy was sought from the gods in classic antiquity. Look at this. This is the name of the company that is going to be omnipresent, godlike surveillance from AI, watching every move you make, forcing people to be good citizens, as he said. oracle, the priest, a medium of the classic gods. I just think that is so telling. Everything is so predictive programming. This is just right in your face. I can't believe we're in the time that we're in. Revelation 13:17 says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So many people get hung up on this one verse. They'll take this one verse and say, you know what? This means it's a microchip. Because if you don't have it, if you don't take it, you can't buy or sell. The issue is about worship. It's not about a form of currency. We're already in a cashless society. Hardly anyone even takes cash anymore. You don't have to have a microchip implant for the government to be able to shut off your ability to buy or sell. If you don't remember when there was these trucking protests in Canada, anyone who was caught bringing a can of gas to those truckers had their bank account frozen. This already happened. No microchip required. Even in the past, in the 1600s, they had a law that if you did not go to church every Sunday morning and evening, your ability to buy and sell would be cut off. I'm going to look it up right now because I want people to know this stuff. There's so much deception out there. Today I Found Out is the website. It's not a Christian website. This is just history. Blue laws. Check this out. When you read this, it says, what are blue laws? If you come down to this second paragraph, it says, the first blue law, although not called that at the time, was enacted in colonial Virginia in 1610, and it mandated church attendance at both morning and afternoon services on Sundays. A first-time offender lost his provision and allowance for a whole week. So if you don't worship this way that the government says, you will not be able to buy or sell. That's already happened. This did not require a microchip implant. It's about punishment. It's about punishing those who do not worship and go against God's commandments. Because the fourth commandment says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. But man and Satan says, no, you will keep the venerable day of the sun, and you must do it by force, not by free will. It says, those who committed a second offense, in addition to losing his allowance, so you still can't buy or sell, would be whipped. So here we have persecution. Then it says a third violation was supposedly punished by death, though there is debate over whether accounts of early blue laws in some cases were exaggerated or not. You know why I think they don't know for a fact? I bet hardly anyone, if anyone, got to a third offense. I think it was so easy to compromise. Go to church on Sunday every morning and evening, no problem. I'll do that. I don't want to lose my allowance, and I don't want to be whipped, and I sure don't want to die. That was the compromise made in the 1600s. No microchip required. If you want to find out more, there's a link in this YouTube channel called Who is the Beast and What is His Mark? Or it's called Mark of the Beast, Not a Microchip. It's 35 minutes, scripture, line upon line, comparing here a little, there a little, by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. We can't make entire belief systems out of one verse taken out of context. This one verse does not mean that the mark is a form of currency, but rather the ability to have your buying and selling turned off is a form of punishment for not worshiping the way that the beast system tells you to. So check out the video, Global AI Governance 2030. They're saying by 2030, the whole world is going to be governed by AI. That can't happen overnight. They're putting the system in. Like, if you thought this was crazy, it's already happening. Trump's already announcing it, that we invested $100 billion into this thing, and it's going to happen. So check out that video for anyone that was a skeptic of what that meant. It's happening now. This was the United Nations passing this stuff. Also, there was a video that I did on AI technology lets prisoners serve time in minutes. So now if you do some heinous crime, and they'll give you an option. Do you want to spend 10 years in prison? Or do you want us to use AI in your brain and you will feel like you served 10 years, but it's only going to be a matter of minutes. They have the technology to make you believe that you've spent 10 years in prison. Imagine the form of torture they can do with this technology. Have you ever had a nap? You took a nap and you had a dream and you woke up and you're like, oh man, I had this crazy dream. I was doing this and this. And people were like, somebody said, you were only asleep for like 5 minutes. It's like, no, like this thing felt like days. That's because in your brain, in your mind, you can manipulate time, and they're doing it with AI technology already. They're giving you the option to take your sentence in minutes instead of years. Also, all this stuff rolling out, the drones that are coming out that they're saying we don't know what they are. Check out that video, because this is not just mysterious drones out there. I do believe that they are getting us immune to things being in the sky. And they're like, oh, we don't know what it is, but don't worry. It's not harmful. Just go about life as usual. And they'll unroll the drones that are going to be surveying us, surveillancing us all the time. But some of these are just spiritual demonic entities. People are zooming in on these things, and they are not drones. They are pulsating orbs. They're getting us used to the idea of things flying around the sky that we don't know what they are. Why? Because Satan in the last days is going to bring about this alien deception, and he's going to come as a cosmic Christ and say, I have all the answers to your problems. I can heal you. I can get rid of pandemics. I can fix climate change. And we are going to fall for it, because we're going to say, well, if this being was evil, wouldn't they have already destroyed us? Wouldn't they have already caused us harm? They've been here all this time for years and have never caused us harm, and maybe even have done good things like deactivate nukes and things like that they say these things do. Also, check out the video about the fires, because these fires were not natural, for one, and for another, they've already had a system set up where they want to turn LA into a smart city by 2028. I don't think it's a coincidence that LA is now leveled and ready to be built back better, as they say. This is predictive programming. They've been putting this in all kinds of entertainment. Joe Biden was saying this, we're going to build back better and all this. This is all order out of chaos. This is cause the problem and bring about the solution. It's going to look good. You're going to feel like the government's on your side while they're building your enslavement camp. This is what's coming. The Simpsons are always predicting things, right? This was season 28, which started in the year 2015 and ended in 2017. And this is how it starts. What do you see on the screen right now? Well, there's an alien, a UFO. There's a banner that is definitely a nod to Trump. Make the universe great again. So is Trump in office now? Yes. Are we seeing things flying around the sky? Yes. Okay. That's a very interesting scene right here on the screen. Now, they unveiled this statue that's highly reflective, and the sun hits the statue and begins to cause these fires. Isn't this an interesting scene? The Ed's Extinguisher store just closed yesterday. If you watch the video that I did on the fires, there's interviews with people who are saying insurance stopped covering fires 6 months before the fires happened. That none of the water worked. Everybody was trying to turn on their water hoses and none of the water was working. Firemen couldn't even get water. So I think it's really crazy that this show that's known for predictive programming back in 2015 was predicting that a laser, and okay, you might be saying that's not a laser, that's the sun reflecting, but in this scene, it is a laser. That beam just cured these people's eyesight, and it says laser eye surgery. So they're telling you that this is a laser that is burning down a city, and there are things burnt up, but there's something blue standing there. If you look into this topic, you'll realize that lasers don't burn blue. Blue fabric, blue rubber, blue paint, all that's talked about in that LA fire video. There's videos out there of people shooting lasers at a blue balloon and it doesn't pop. Blue fabric, it doesn't burn. Blue paint doesn't burn. There's different frequencies of lasers, but the ones that are most common seem to be the ones that don't affect blue. And here's this blue tarp standing there. I think that's very symbolic. You see everything smoking.
We will rebuild. We will rebuild. We will rebuild.
Isn't that interesting? This came out in 2015. Joe Biden, who said Build Back Better, wasn't even in office. So this show predicted fires at a place that looks like Hollywood. Isn't that interesting? Fires at a place that looked like Hollywood, that was a laser that said the fire extinguishers just closed yesterday. But guess what? We're going to build back better. We will rebuild. And that's what Biden said when Biden came in office in 2021. Much later, after the episode of this aired in 2015. And Joe Biden had this thing about build back better. That was the slogan that he was coining. That was his catchphrase, to build back better. If you look it up, you'll see this LA Smart City, Smart LA 2028. There's this whole document that you can look at where they have a plan to make LA a smart city by 2028. And now, because people are catching on, there's all this propaganda coming out saying, oh, LA wildfires deliberately started to turn Los Angeles into a smart city by 2028. Bizarre claim surfaces. So there's multiple news sources that are saying, oh, the conspiracy theorists are out again, and they're trying to say that this wasn't natural and all this stuff. But people like me and others out there who are analyzing things, we're not just making things up. We don't want to just believe this stuff. We're looking at the evidence. Why are buildings completely turned to rubble and yet there's green trees and grass all around? How come things are vaporized but blue objects are still around? How come it's coincidentally that the city burnt down right before they want to turn it into a smart city? So this is just looking at the evidence. And this is the document Smart LA 2028. And I was wondering who is doing these smart cities? Hitachi. So I looked up, well, has Hitachi done anything with these smart cities yet? And it says Hitachi is currently building smart cities in various locations around the world. Here's one of them, Maui Islands in Hawaii. Do you remember what happened to the Maui Islands just a year or two ago? 2 years ago, maybe. They burnt down. Look, they turned Maui, Hawaii into a smart city. So now we're connecting the dots again. By the way, there was all those same characteristics of Maui. Buildings being vaporized. There's not even a chimney or a refrigerator or any kind of metal appliance. That car windshields are melted and their rims are melting into the streets, and yet a blue umbrella survives and all the greenery around survives. This is curious, right? It makes you wonder what's going on. And now that very place has turned to a smart city. Well, again, another city has the same character traits, and there's already a plan to make it a smart city by 2028. I think it's a strange connection that in 2028, the Olympics are going to be held. We have a video on the Olympics. Look up the video, The Pagan Origins of the Olympics, right on their Olympics website. This is not even conspiracy theory. It's just history. The Olympics are a Greek and Roman ritual. It's a pagan ritual, and they openly admit it, that these are games to the gods. And so it's all about this death and rebirth and rising phoenix out of the ashes. And that's going to be that event, that ritual of rising phoenix out of the ashes is going to be happening in LA in 2028 when it's going to be a smart city. I don't think this is a coincidence. This is all set up. Now listen to what this guy said.
My first piece of advice to you is let's take care of our mental and physical health first. before we embark upon what is going to be a journey to rebuild these communities back and rebuild them better than they were when we started this fire.
Okay, so there's two interesting things that were said there. The audio is kind of low, but the captions are on there. And he's talking about that we're going to build back better. Again, he's putting this coin phrase out there, pushing it in your brain, build back better. And then he said, before we started these fires, if you didn't catch that, it's on screen right here. When we started this fire, listen to this. This is a Freudian slip.
These communities back and rebuild them better than they were when we started this fire.
And build them back better when we started this fire. Is it all just a coincidence? Is all this just some crazy coincidence? I think you're more of a conspiracy theorist when you think that all of this is a coincidence than just accepting the facts. That's what I believe. And so here's Vox saying, it's a make or break moment for housing in California. The future of the state depends on how leaders rebuild after the Los Angeles fires. I get it. The fires destroyed homes and you're definitely going to have to rebuild. I just think it's crazy that in 2015, all that predictive programming was put in there, that when Biden was in office, he was pushing this propaganda, this brainwashing slogan of build back better. This guy on the news said build back better when we started these fires. If this was eye-opening to you, please click a thumbs up. It really helps get this message out to the world, gets this channel out there so more people can see what's going on in the world, that we are living in the last days. I believe it without a shadow of a doubt. We are seeing things like we've never seen before, and soon we're going to be being governed by AI, artificial intelligence, eye in the sky, omnipresent surveillance, and it's going to force us to be good citizens. Isn't that going to be fun to live in a dystopian world like that? But the good news is Jesus is coming soon. We have to be ready. I'm so ready for him to come and to live in a truly perfect world where there's no more pain and no more sorrow. If you are looking forward to that day too, please click a thumbs up. Please say amen in the comment section. I love you guys. I thank you so much for being here. If you want to support this channel, you can do so by going to CandidTruthOrg. There's a donate button. You can send a Cashapp, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal. We cannot do this without you. This is our full-time job, and if we don't have supporters like you, we have to go back to work. If you like t-shirts, we got some cool t-shirts. You can find those on CandidTruth.org. We got just some really cool slogans as well as scripture shirts, and I'm wearing one of them right now. Be cool. Use your brain. It's cool to use your brain. Satan doesn't want you to think. The militaries of the world don't want you to think, because guess what? A thinking population is harder to control. So it's cool to use your brain. Don't fall for the propaganda. I love you guys. God bless. And we'll see you next time on Candid Truth.